All right, welcome everyone to BG5 certification class, semester one, class one. So this is the very beginning of our journey. So we can think of this as like the yellow brick road. There's an old TV show in the United States called The Wizard of Oz, and they start on this yellow brick road and they go up and down and they have adventures. So we're just starting on our journey. Let me tell you a little bit about today and what this semester is going to hold. So welcome everyone. First things first, Tammy is going to be in charge of our WhatsApp group, or at least getting the students in. So we're going to have a WhatsApp. If you'd like to be part of that, check in with Tammy. Tammy, whatever information, I don't know if it's just a phone number or an email, but you can sort of coordinate with Tammy. So she's going to be helpful. Tammy, anything you want to say about that now?
Yeah, I think that I just need your phone number to be able to add. And if you're in a different country, obviously the prefix other than just in the United States. So
Great.
Do you want us to just drop it in the chat now, or do you want to wait till after class?
you can drop it in now, and I can work on it throughout class.
So let me give a moment for that. So in the chat, just put in your phone. Okay, I'm going to keep going. One of the things you're going to notice about this particular class with me is we're going to go above and beyond whatever the curriculum looks like. We're going to go beyond that. And so one of the things we're going to start today is something I call alignment coaching. It's actually something I started doing when I taught the cycles class for the first time last winter. And we're just going to look at transits. So transits, I'll explain to you if that doesn't mean anything, but it's essentially looking at what is the cosmic weather for today. And then this alignment coaching follows that, which means, and how does it affect me? How does it affect me? So these are things that we can do for number one, ourselves, and also for how we can support our clients. We'll begin to explore what is BG5. So some people started in the foundation, some people started in the BG5 Institute, some people are coming over from the IHDS or some other school where they have a really strong human design background, but BG5 is new to them. So we'll start with that too. And this concept of what is BG5, why is it important, how does it help people? So some of this I will talk about, some of it I'm just going to give you in the slides, and we'll talk about some of the logistics and resources. So this semester is primarily about how to deliver career design overviews. So that's where you can sit down with a client, and BG5, a little bit different from human design, is we actually look at each aspect of someone's chart and we put it in these kind of categories of, we call them success codes. So there's 16 of them. In the career design overview, we'll deliver the first six. The second semester is more about the over kind of arching everything as part of the analysis. So we'll do that for the first 7 classes. And then the final 3 in semester 2 will be doing partnership analysis. So if you don't know anything about partnership analysis, it's like your chart, someone else's chart, and then there's something in the middle, which is actually the relationship chart. So the software has this amazing ability to look at both people and then create a chart to understand, okay, how do we operate in partnership? So when you begin to understand the dynamics of it, you can actually feel, okay, here's my design, and I can also feel my partner's design, whether it's, romantic, friends, coworker, team leader, whatever it is. You can feel that third entity, which represents how the two of you interact with one another. I just absolutely love partnership analysis. When I first discovered it, I thought it was the most amazing thing. Semester 3 is Alpha 1 analysis. So we have actually 3 TAs. We have Tammy, who's present, we have Anna, and we have George. Those 3 just came through the certification class, so they finished in July with me as well. And so they went through this whole really deep dive into both team analysis and what we call Alpha 1. So anyone who, it could be a team leader, could also be someone who runs a business or runs an organization or kind of runs a department. All of those fit under this idea of Alpha 1. So an Alpha 1 has some sort of team underneath them. And so we look at that in real depth, and it's pretty amazing work when you see it. And then you can also look at the team. So remember, I was talking about the partnership. We can also look at a grouping of people of 3 to 5, and we can look at the team dynamics and actually where that comes from. So that's our trajectory over the next 3 semesters. Any questions about that at all? Here's our schedule. So we start out with an introduction, although we're gonna really start to dive in more than I've done before. And we're going to be talking about organizing frequency or assimilation. Assimilation is, from the human design perspective, that's definition. Are you a single definition, split, triple split, quadruple, or we look at it in terms of, and we have, this is the other thing, if you're coming from the human design background, you're going to go through this kind of real challenging sort of metamorphosis because we have different language in BG5. So for example, when we think about assimilation, we look at it from the terms of how do you process information. Instead of saying single split or single definition, we call it independent, collaborative, synthesizing is the triple split, subjective is the quad split, and objective is an evaluator or a reflector. So the language was changed when the BG5 Institute came into being because we wanted to make the language more business friendly. People are like, what are you talking about with nodes and splits and, sacrals and ajnas and, nodes? Like, all of that stuff doesn't make sense to anyone outside the human design community. So we changed it to fit, so it doesn't sound so esoteric. Now, I think things are changing. When I first started learning BG5, anything in the astrology realm or kind of, more nuanced, different from business, it was just considered this, we use this concept, this terminology, woo-woo. It's like, that's too weird. So some business organizations, they still shy away from that kind of language. And so we made it more, I would say, user-friendly. We'll look at environment. So in this class, we'll look at the chart, and it helps us understand what kind of environment, what kind of business setting are you most designed to thrive in. That's a big piece of the overview. I remember when I first learned what my environment was, it made so much sense. So there's actually 4 environments we can think about. Solo, you work by yourself. In partnership, you're designed to work one-on-one with someone else, or in a small group, or a small team, or a large team. Now, it doesn't have to be just one or the other. So sometimes people can fit in multiple, and we'll sort of just play around with the nuances of that in class 4. And then we start looking at the 4 types: builders, advisors, initiators, evaluators. And then we look at something called the penta. The penta is a zone from, in human design terms, the sacral to the G to the throat, or in BG5 terms, energy resource, identity, communication, and action. And so That's what we call the penta zone. A penta is if you have definition, either a lot of traits or whole strengths in that zone. So there's 6 channels, there's 6 strengths. If you have a strength in that zone, you are someone who is designed to work on a team. In fact, you can really flower there. So that's our schedule. Questions about that? All right, here we go. We're gonna start off different. Instead of just diving into slides and theory, I want to start playing around with like looking at this kind of land of human design BG5 in a little broader way. So think about this as the energy weather forecasts, or we can think of it as the energy for today. Let me explain what you're looking at here. So the MMI software has the capacity to create charts for any day of the week, any day of the year, any day in any year, going forward or backwards. And so what happens is you can do it for, it's called the transit of the day, or just a transit. You can actually put in the day and the time that you want to have the transit for. So essentially the transit is right now, this is the design. This is what's happening in the sort of the planetary connections at this moment. And so what happens is we get influenced by the transits. We get influenced by the transits. So you'll notice that you'll see this chart and you'll see only the personality. Why only the black? So for some of us, we understand we have the personality and we have the design, but you may forget that the design in the natal chart, in the human design chart, is actually 3 months before when the personality is. So what that means is the moment we're born, that's the personality column. That's all of the imprints that happens as soon as we come out of our mom's womb. But 3 months before, what happened is a little bit more esoteric. That's when our soul kind of began to enter into our mom's body. That's when the soul began to drop in. So we have the design side, which represents the body, and the personality side, which represents more of the mind. So that's why we only look at the personality, because the personality is what is current in this moment. Questions about that? Okay, so this is what we're looking at today in this moment. So how do we do this? How do we do this? Let me start showing you some interesting pieces here. So we're going to start looking at the top 2 strengths in the column here, which is here you'll notice the 6-3 and the 36-3. Those are the traits. So it's trait 6 and trait 36. That's in human design terms, Sun Earth. In BG5, we talk about the core essence and the grounding. The first thing we're going to do is look at the line quality. We think of this as either the public role or the profile. What's the line theme for the day? And so it's going to be 1 through 6. Every day it goes through one of the lines. And every 6 days, that Sun Earth, that core essence and grounding shift to the next level, the next trait on the wheel. The third line quality, as we learned in our earliest studies, some of the themes are pioneer, trial and error, it's mutative, it's very material focused, bonds made and broken, adaptive. So what does that mean for us is today, this third line quality is the theme that's kind of in the air, if we use that language. So this may be a day that you make a lot of mistakes. This may be a day that you try new things. This may be a day that, you figure out like, I don't know if this relationship is working for me right now. I think I need a break. We can try new things, knowing that if we make a mistake, not a big deal, or we're up for some deeper change, or we're thinking about, because it's also the third line is the most material line. If you wanted to do anything around money, finance, launching your practice, this could be a day that you do it. So remember, every one of those, every day has a particular line quality theme that we get to explore. So we're right in the middle, smack dab in the middle of our week here. First line, second line, fourth line, fifth line, sixth line, they also have their own themes. Some people are really careful because, the 1, 2, and 3, as we learned when we studied our profile or public role, those are more inward days. We study, we hermit, we try new things, but it's like it's not a big deal. When it starts shifting over to the 4, 5, and 6, those are more social days. We can maybe get together with friends, or have like a work party, or we can have a big presentation. When we get to the 6, we're beginning to sort of finish this particular phase. It's a good day to reflect. It's a good day to look back on the week. It's a good day to start planning for the next weekly cycle. Any of that stuff is happening. So some people are really religious about studying these themes. Some people, like me, I'm really curious about them, but I don't look at them every day. But I have other students who every day they religiously look at the kind of the weather for today. And I'm gonna go deeper into this, but I'm just sort of giving you an overview right now. One of the things I want to tell you is the more openness you have in your design, the more you are influenced by the transits. That makes sense, right? Because we have our openness. We're also people with a lot of openness in their design are also just open to everything and everyone around you. But you also want to start including the transits. The other thing is, let's say that you have 4, 5, 6 functions or centers defined. When the transits activate a particular center or a particular function, it's going to feel more heightened for you. Your shadow patterns have a bigger chance, a greater chance to be activated. So keep in mind, one of the things I'm telling you about is I know that you're doing an amazing job just learning your design, but I want you to start thinking in terms of more holistic, more like, wow, there's a lot happening. And when you learn the transit, you're also going to be learning about how different aspects affect us. And you're going to be able to talk to your clients. I'm going to be going through something in a few minutes where I call alignment coaching, which is helping you understand how you're impacted. Okay, any questions so far? Oh, sick. Okay, so let's start looking at just some general themes. What's some of the themes that we're looking at? Number one, primarily emotions. Why do I say that? Because we have in the sun quiescence, we have the 6, and we also have the 36 in the earth. This is the potential to open to new relationships or being closed to relationships. So the 6 is, we call it friction, but I think of the 6 as this gate. I'm either open to a relationship or I'm not. I'm either open to intimacy, I'm not. I'm either open to new opportunities or I'm not. So the 6 has this kind of like gate-like quality that you're not in charge of. It's really an energetic dynamic that happens inside of you. So if you don't have the 6, you may experience this kind of openness or closeness. And so you just get to kind of notice that. The 36 is crisis. The crisis can come about by jumping into these new experiences willy-nilly. That's let me say that that's an English slang. You just kind of jump into like these new experiences head first, like yes, only to find out that this experience, I didn't wait through my wave, I wasn't clear, and now the experience is bringing some really hard stuff. Difficult relationship, difficult, I started a new job because it seems so great, but now it's really difficult. The crisis comes from really deep emotional learnings. So all of this is in the kind of the ether, in the air this week. And we're right in the middle of it. We're sort of like right on the crest, and now we're moving. We're also looking at something here in human design, we call it the nodes. We have south node, north node. For us, it's past direction. That's the 47 in this box here. See the 47, that's the past direction and the future direction. So the theme, the nodes are the past, future direction. It's the background frequency in which we live. The 22 has been in for a while now. So by the way, nodes or the past, future direction, they go through cycles of about 4 months. So we're right in the beginning. So we're probably only a month and a half in. So we're going to have the 2247 for another 2.5 months or so. So this is going to be the background frequency through the fall and into early winter. What's the 47 about? Anyone know? 47.
Realization.
Realization. Yeah. So Tron, how do we experience this 47? We're trying to make sense. We're trying to have these, okay, I've had these experiences that are going on, but I can't actually make sense of it. The realization is finally when an experience is complete, I can make sense of it. That's what the 47 is always trying to do. The 22, I think of it also kind of like a little bit like a gate as well, but it's more emotional. And am I open to this experience or not? Am I open to this other person? Am I open to listen to this other person? But it's all dependent on the moods. So this stream from here, let me show you this. Change this up. Anytime you see a strength or a couple different traits in this stream here, going from the 3955 up to the 22 and then to the 12. It's one of the most moodiest places in design. It's also a lot about melancholy. Anyone have any traits or strengths in this area? Either 39, you do, Leah? I have the 55. It's in
Yes.
my
I
conscious
have a
earth.
55 as well.
You have yeah, Marion, you do.
For me, it's the 39, and my husband had the 55, so
Whoa,
good fun.
that's an interesting relationship dynamic. Yeah. By the way, we have Tammy and Marion, you're going to laugh at this. We have 5 people, I think, who have the Sleeping Phoenix incarnation cross. So anyone who doesn't know what that means, let me give you just a quick synopsis. So there are 4 different traits, the 59, the 55, the 34, and the 20. In human design, it's called an incarnation cross, and it's the Sleeping Phoenix. In BG5, we have such like kind of fluffy language. We call it evolve or individuality. The Sleeping Phoenix is also in 2027 when the next cycle begins. That's the cross. That's the life work theme that's coming. So anyone who has this incarnation cross, this life work theme in their design, they go through these periods of birth, death, and rebirth. So I tend to, because I am also one of them, I tend to sort of have people sort of show up in my fractal who have this. And so we kind of bond with one another, like, what's your like death experience, Because sometimes it's like horrific. But when you come out the other side, you are, that rebirth is amazing. But it's terrible in the death process, I'll tell you.
My daughter actually has both of those strengths. She has the 3955 and the 2212.
Oh.
I'm scared now.
Okay, so what's important to know about this particular stream? So again, 12, 22, 39, 55, it's about passion, it's about connection, it's very auditory. So one of the ways that you process information is verbally or acoustically. So what it means when it's in the nodal theme, the background is we're going to have this energy dynamic of sometimes it's going to be melancholy in the air. Sometimes you're going to be melancholy. Another thing to look at is, do you have the 12? I actually do.
I do have the 12.
Leah, you have the 12 too. So let me show you what happens here. If you have the 12, but you don't have the 22, and you have an open solar plex, open emotional intelligence function, you
No,
now have this defined in your design. So you now experience this heightened level of emotions. You feel melancholic, you feel sadness, you feel, it's like, I just don't feel creative. That's one of the things.
I'm an emotional authority. I come from human design, so I have only these words, but I feel it.
Even though you have it defined, you still feel it. Yes, you will. You will. Let me just highlight a little bit of the past future directions. So again, this is the background frequency that we're all going to be feeling for the next 2.5 months. It's already been in for a month and a half. So the 47, this is the right here. It's the past, it's quality 2. So we have this line quality 2 of the natural hermity, wanting to sort of just allow your natural talents to come out. That's in the background frequency. So it's the line quality, the line of ambition. It's actually in detriment. No, it's not actually in detriment here. Let me take this out, sorry. The ability to sense when and which activity is healthy. So that's there in the 22, trait of openness. The line quality is charm school, the possibility to attract others with your emotional style. So this could be the 22, the 12, the 39, 55. It has a very warm, welcoming frequency when you're in the mood for it. Last thing I want to say about this chart here, because we're going to keep working with it, is when you see a strength or a channel defined, it's kind of a big deal because everyone is feeling this. Everyone is feeling it. So the 2946, as we know, it's the channel, the strength of discovery. So this is making a commitment to a new experience and allowing yourself to discover the deeper meanings and learnings of the experience. That sounds pretty cool, right?
May I just wanted to add, because I have this strength particular, and today I've cancelled already signed contract just for doing a new one, another one. So, and it was really beneficial for me. The last week or the last few days were really, really beneficial. I felt very, very supported and very, very clear in my intention. I have the 659 as well. So I jumped into something completely new. I hooked up with new people from the past, just to get them into the new contract, and it's really perfect. So it worked out very well today for me.
Nice. So you had this process of discovering, and so a new journey is beginning. So what circuitry thematic is the 2946? Anyone remember? Remember, every strength, every channel lives in a circuit. What circuit is the 2946 in?
Collective and sharing.
Yes. Abstract, collective, experiential, which is all about, and this particular one is also the abstract experiential circuitry thematic is about learning journeys. So everything that an abstract person says yes to begins this whole new experience. So if you don't have this, you have to be really careful that you don't feel this pull to jump into something, especially something really big, a new relationship, new job, buying a car, signing for a house, unless you feel really clear. Because the abstract circuitry, the experiential circuitry, the fuel, the energy is desire. I desire this new experience. It's going to be so amazing. That's what you have to look out for in this kind of energy dynamic. So before with this, I have to give me a second here. So I have a book, it's called an ephemeris. An ephemeris gives you the transits for every single day. So I have, so this is today, and this is tomorrow, and I have this ability to look at it. So you can find different ones. I use, I have a company that somewhere over in Europe, they're called ProLinerHD.com. So I can actually look and see how long a transit is in. So the 2946 is only going to be in for the next day, and then the 29 goes out. So having this thing called an ephemeris allows you to see how long a transit is in for, which can be helpful. Abstract sharing. Yep. I was just looking at the. So what do we look for in the transit? So that's what we're going to be talking about now. Here's where we're going to go a little bit deeper. It's a concept I call alignment coaching, and I'm going to explain how this works. So what it's basically doing is looking at the transits through the lens of your design. Through the lens of your design. So what I've asked students is, who can't make it to the class, I'm going to use her design today. So again, here is today's chart around this time frame. And we're just looking at some of the different things, some other influences that I just jotted down here. The pressure to make sense or realization of the past, that's the 47, that's the node right here. Emotional openness, that's the 22. Attending to the emotions within ourselves and people around us. Expressing in the now, influence, Here too, the pressure to begin something new. That's the 53 beginnings. It's the experiential cycle process. And if you do, you have the potential to have mutation or a lasting and sudden change. So those are some of the frequencies that are in today. So what do we look for in the transits? So again, just remember, outside influences are constantly influencing our design, whether it's other people, whether it's groups, or these planetary transits. So we're beginning to understand we don't just live in our bodies with our own design. We're constantly being influenced by everything and everyone around us. So personal awareness is the key to not getting pulled off track. Let me give you an example. There are certain transits, when they show up, they can amplify you. So does anyone have an open root or an undefined drive stamina? Yes. So when that's defined through the transits or another person, you have this potential to be really amped up, which can make you make sudden decisions or, to suddenly blurt out things in a way that you might not have done, or just jump into something because you just feel like, yeah, I need to be doing something. That's a simple example of how this works. So this module, this alignment coaching is designed to help us deepen our awareness. So what are we looking for? One of the things is we start with the line quality of the day. This is just a reference slide for you. You'll have this in the slides you can check out. Also, when you find a function or a center getting defined, it can activate your shadow patterns, or again, your not self. Willpower is the ego, emotional intelligence is the solar plexus, identity is the G, energy resource is the sacral, drive stamina is the roots, communication is the throat, survival instincts is the spleen, inspiration is the head, conceptualization is the ajna. I'm just doing some translating. You will have in the handouts like a template that gives you language for both. So if you're totally coming over from the human design side, start learning that, begin to translate the new language. I'll go back and forth now, but as the semester goes on, we'll just be using BG5 language. Okay, so this is Zdenka. She's a student who is in my foundation class with us, and this is the transits. So just take a quick look. Just see some differences between Zdenka's design and the transits. Anything you notice? One of the things that Leah brought up is that Zdenka doesn't have the 2946, but it's in the transits. So we just begin to ask ourselves, how does that influence her? How would she experience that? That's one of the things we start to think about. Another thing I want you to begin to look at is, I call them hotspots. Let me explain what hotspots are. And so I've labeled them sort of from most challenging to more easy, more benign, not as big a deal. We're going to start with the solar plex function, this emotional intelligence function. Let's check. Okay, what we're looking for. If in a transit or just a person in Zdenka's life, if they have the 37, if they have the 59, if they have the 30, or any strength coming through here, it's going to activate Zdenka's emotions. It's going to activate her emotions. So she's going to feel that more of that emotional energy in her design. And what that means is it also has the potential to activate her shadow patterns, touching nervous, amplifying other people's emotions, making decisions kind of differently or based on either desire or feeling her emotions ratchet up. That's the 3740. When we say a hotspot, we're basically primarily looking at an open function and seeing if the transit activates it. Usually it's the trait on the other side. So again, that's going to be the 30 or the 59 or the 37. Any one of those will activate her emotional intelligence function. Yes, Lens, go ahead.
So because she doesn't have the 59 or so her emotional definition is not there today based on the transit, correct?
Yes, absolutely right.
Okay.
Good eyes. Yep. Is there more to that?
I just want to make sure I was reading it correct because she has the 6, but the transit's in the 6 as well. And she has, so I'm not seeing like anything that would create definition in the solar plexus.
So today is there's no hot spots. There's nothing being activated there. So essentially her emotions get to stay in that same state.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Look at the head, ajna, throat. Also, like you're looking at the G too. So it's inspiration, conceptualization, communication. What are some of the hot spots in this particular zone? What do you think?
Communication. I saw that
What
this will activate she has the 10, the gate 10, and the transit has the 20. So this will activate the throat center.
Yes, yes. What else, Tron? There. Look at the identity, the G.
Yeah, the G, the
There's
transit has
3.
the 25 and she has the 51. So this will activate the willpower too.
No, look at these 3 red ones here. What happens there?
Yeah, I saw the 20, 31 and the 7 in
So
this.
the
Yeah,
31, the 8, and the 33, those are the hot spots. The 33, the 8, the 30, and the 31, 8, and 33. That's the hot spots. Because whenever one of those traits is defined, it activates her throat, her communication.
yeah.
Marianne, question.
I just got the idea that she will become manifesting generator today, no?
Yes. Yes.
Welcome.
Yeah. Welcome to the club, right?
But not pure, I think. Without 3420, the just 3420 is the pure manifesting generator, right? But she will still be, because communication center will be activated
Yeah.
with 57 intuitions, yeah.
So would that mean that she's feeling a little bit more like distracted and maybe not able to focus on one particular thing today? Because manifesting generators, we pivot a lot and we're constantly moving from thing to thing. So does it make her feel a little bit more scatterbrained?
It
But
could. Another way it might go is she's really just it's like she's she's driving in a car and then suddenly the pedal goes down and just you're going forward. So
maybe
why would that be? So like someone mentioned, the 31 is in. So essentially now we have energy, resource, identity, and communication all activated. So like Marion says, that makes it an express builder, manifesting generator. So the energy's there to actually manifest, to go out. Or she might be doing a lot of talking. I don't say that in any bad way. I'm just being playful with it. But whenever the communication function gets activated, you talk more if you have it open. That's one
Does
of the shadow patterns.
doesn't she get the 20 as well?
yeah.
Yeah, Thank
So
you.
He will,
that would make her a manifesting generator in that channel as well.
Yes.
Okay.
with,
Yes,
with
yes, yes.
willpower as well. So she will be pretty unstoppable, I think, because manifesting generator with willpower could be great deal.
Yeah. Yeah. And so what does she need to worry about with this transit? What's the shadow pattern of the willpower? The ego.
Overcommitting, saying yes to things she's probably not ready to necessarily take on because she's super energetic today, but tomorrow she may not be.
Yeah, making promises. Yeah, sure, I'll do that. No problem. I got it. Wicked dangerous. What about from the throat? Ajna, inspiration. Tell me about this place. Why is it a hot spot? First of all, what traits will start creating activations here? 17, 17, 23, 64, 61. So let's talk about just right here for now. Anytime, so Zdenka has this 47, she has the 24. Anytime the 64 comes in or the 61 comes in, she's now got mental definition. And what's going to happen is her mind gets activated and she has the potential to kind of like go over and over and over and over things. This has happened to Zdenka a lot in her life. 64, the 64, 63 is a very common thing in design. And so it shows up in people's design, also shows up in the transits a lot. And so it's going to get activated. It's going, what it means is Zdenka has this potential different times of the year to kind of zoo, 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 thinking. Or with the 17 or the 23, she has the capacity to sort of bringing these insights, bringing these opinions out in a more sort of dynamic way, or she could be, talking too much. And remember, with the transits, you have the potential to have the best part of the expression and the shadow pattern. Last thing we'll do here, and we can take a break if we want to, is you have the, everyone can create this in the MMI program. So what I did is I created the transits, and also, so we're looking at the personal connection. So the transit is creating these connections for her. It doesn't necessarily have to be another person. It could be the transit itself that's creating. So these are the strengths or the channels that are getting activated for Zdenka today, now. The brainwave, which on one way it could be great because it gives her intuition a voice. That's pretty cool. Initiation. If she's correct and she just, goes through her gut response, she can jump into something new. Awakening, being able to express her identity in really unique and creative ways. Or she might get invited to step into a leadership role. Those are the potentials there. The educational channel, what that means is if there's a channel defined and you don't have it, that's the theme for you to learn about. That's what this is about. In the natal channels, this is what she has now already. This is in her design. She just has to be aware of the educational channel because, again, it can pull us or activate a part of our design that we don't have. And that can be kind of good as long as you have awareness about it. The big awareness is Zdenka doesn't want to say yes. That's the 29. She doesn't want to say yes to things too spontaneously. Even though she's intuitive, she really needs to, like, the pull can overshadow her intuition. Questions about this? Helpful? Okay, we'll take a break at the top of the hour. Let me just talk a little bit about my vision for this class. So we're going to be doing something called the flipped classroom model. So this is the only class we're doing for the full 2 hours. So what we're going to, from here on in, I'm going to pre-record the classes. I will upload them. When you look at the dashboard, you're going to see pre-recordings. So I'm going to try to, as quick as I can, record the next class, which is basically just talking about the slides and doing some theory application. So we have, here's the theory, here's how to apply it type thing. So this is what our class is. So this is kind of a unique class. We're doing a little bit of both, but starting from class 2 to 10, we're doing this flipped classroom. So that means because you have to listen to a download before class starts, our actual in-class time is only going to be 90 minutes, which we found is pretty, it's good enough time. We'll look at student chart evaluations. We'll have time to practice. We'll learn the nuances of chart analysis. Some of the new material is we're going to be doing something called the 10-minute overview. We'll start that today. We already started alignment coaching, and we'll explore something called the cross of life. In human design terms, it's looking at the incarnation cross. So we have the sun earth, or the core essence grounding on the design side and the personality side. We're also going to look at the nodes. And we can actually do an actual reading or a session based on these kind of alignments. Just kind of weave this in through. So what I'm trying to do here for you is go above and beyond what you can offer your students, your clients. So the classroom portion of our time moving forward is it's going to be more dynamic, more kind of experiential. And if you have anything you want to focus on, let me know. Any questions about this? Any thoughts? All right. What is BG5? Some of you may have already heard this, read this, or seen it. Just go along with it. If it's new to you, that's great. I'm gonna pause for a sec. Diana, would you mind reading this one? So in case you don't know this person in the slide, this is Ra. He's the founder of Human Design. Go ahead, Diana.
Yes, sure. BG5 is not directly connected with what we would call the spiritual or awakening domain. It's business, and the goal is not to be awake. The goal is to improve the bottom line. Not only is the goal to prove the bottom line, but it is interested in looking at human beings in a way that is almost the opposite of the way in which you look at human design or human beings in terms of your relationship to them in terms of basic human design. Ra Uruhu.
Yeah. Thank you, Diana. Ra finished teaching BG5 in 2008. He finished teaching OC16 in 2011. So that's essentially more than 15 years ago. So when he was teaching this, he started teaching BG5 in 2005. That time, I started learning human design in 2005. I can tell you it was a very different time, very, very different time. So one of the things that I've noticed is this idea of personal awareness, know yourself. things like emotional intelligence were, when Ra was first started teaching this, it wasn't really a thing. Emotional intelligence in the business world was when it came into the business world, it really grabbed people's attention. But on a really simple level, emotional intelligence is just basically understanding yourself and your impact on other people. Human design is brilliant at that. It's brilliant. So we carry over a lot of things from what Ra said back then. I don't want to contradict Ra in any way. What I want to do is just give you a sense of the time we're moving into. Self-awareness is not just kind of a cool thing. It's going to be imperative. It's going to be so deeply important as we move through 2027 and beyond. If you don't have any understanding of yourself, you are not going to thrive or evolve in the coming years. It's just, you cannot do it because it's the age of the individual we're moving into, which means if you don't understand how you work, how you operate, how you're meant to thrive, you're in trouble. And so this kind of like what Rod talks about, spiritual or awakening, that's just a really deeper level of self-awareness. We all are going to need it. Leah, you want to take this one?
It means that material capacity, material potential is something that needs to be understood very deeply in the design of a human being in order to be able to give them the tools that they will need to be able to operate correctly in the future and be able to bring in the material resources that they're going to need into their lives.
Thanks, Leah. Our focus is on career, making money, starting a business, running a team, anything in the more sort of the business sector. But it also, we're also, as you're going to see later on, is we're really going to have the tools to help understand how teams work too. So that doesn't have to be just in the realm of the business. Tiffany, would you take this one?
It's not about eliminating conditioning. It's about eliminating the ignorance of the conditioning. You see, any center that is open in you is your opportunity for wisdom. This is your opportunity through that filtering process that once you stop identifying with what's moving through you, you can take advantage of what's moving through you.
That's essentially what we're doing with the alignment coaching. We're using this kind of framework. Thanks, Tiffany. Lynn, do you want to take this one?
Everyone needs to make a living. Everyone has to survive with the level of consciousness they have. I cannot, in all honesty, abandon those things. I know that I can't wake them up. I know that I cannot transform their lives in the sense we understand transformation. And yet, at the same time, the knowledge of human design is not just there for those that will wake up. It isn't. You can make a penta functional in a very simple way, and you don't have to be esoteric about it, and everybody is going to benefit.
Yeah, I actually don't have any experience in the corporate world. I've never worked in a corporation. I've worked in small businesses before, but I don't have. But from all that I've heard or read or, listened to people's experiences, it's really challenging. It's just hard. People work, 50, 60, sometimes 70 or 80-hour weeks. Maybe they have a family. So with all the pressures that go along with the long hours, just the pressure to succeed, the pressure to keep your job, this idea of evolving our consciousness in that particular realm, it can be really difficult. It can be really difficult. So we want to just have these little kind of simple ideas, simple strategies to help people move past their shadow patterns. Because it's otherwise, if it's too difficult, people just don't have the time or the bandwidth or the energy to be able to do a deeper level of work. One of the things for you in your studies is you get to go much deeper. In fact, that's required for you to be able to do that and be a really good BG5 coach or consultant. You can take you can take the time to do that. But the thing is, when you do that, when you do the inner work to not only just learn your design theoretically, but you embody it, your frequency begins to shift. Your frequency is like a calling card. It's like a business card. It basically says, here, this thing called BG5 human design, I do it. Not only do I do it, I embody it. And I've told hundreds of people over the years when I've done sessions with them, it's like, when you begin to align with your design, your frequency begins to change. Think of it like a guitar wire, a piano wire. If you pluck it and it's out of tune, you can hear it. When it's more in tune, when it's more in alignment, the frequency sounds like, that note, it sounds really good. That's what our energy field is like. It's the same thing. People can feel your frequency, whether they know it or not. We are doing the deep inner work to fine tune our frequency. That's what our class is about. And last one. Sekla, would you like to take this last one?
I prefer not. My English, I'm not confident enough. Sorry.
That's okay. You sound great, by the way, when you speak. Tran, what about you? Would you like to take this one?
Sorry for my English, but I will try.
You're gonna do fine.
A vision for BG5. At the BG5 Business Institute, our vision is to uphold and share the original teaching of the BG5 system, human design for business, with the world. We aim to empower individuals to realize their full potential and achieve financial prosperity. As you connect with this vision, remember that you have an incredible opportunity to enhance and enrich your clients' life by helping them excel. When we use BG5 to help people excel in their work life, we in turn create overall well-being that increases the quality of the life for them, their families, and our communities.
Thanks, Sean. That was awesome. Perfect. Yeah. And I know that for some people in the class, English is your second language, and I totally empathize. I really am amazed and appreciative that you can actually do that. And so I may ask you to do something if you don't feel comfortable doing it. It's no problem at all. No worries. Let's take a 5-minute break. Let's come back at, let's say, 13 past the hour. 13 past the hour. Okay? All right, everyone. I'll see you in a few minutes. I'd like to take a moment to introduce Anna and Tammy and I'd like to invite you both to say hello. So they're going to be our TAs for the class. So Tammy, Anna, and another gentleman named George are going to be our TAs. So we're in the midst of trying to explore how we can support you on a deeper level. And so I've been talking to Anna and Tammy about, and George, how can we bring sort of a more supportive element in? And so over the next 3 semesters, that's one of the things that we want to do. And so it's still in the beginning stages, but in the past, we've never done anything like this. So you guys have the good fortune or the bad luck to be enrolled in this class with me, because I'm going to be experimenting like crazy in this class. And so we're working things out. You remember that phrase, I don't know, it was like when startups became the rage, just move fast, break things, just try new things. So that's we have that kind of spirit. So Anna, would you like to say hello, introduce yourself to the group?
Yes, hello. My name is Ana. I'm Portuguese. I'm from Portugal. I'm 46. I'm a human design analyst. So I did all the work through the human design and all the training till I'm an analyst. And then I decided to study BG5 with Michael and everything in between. Since the start, always with Michael. And I'm a teacher, I'm a coach, I'm a I'm a builder. I'm not a builder. I'm an initiator, a 4-6 initiator. Nowadays working like a builder, so not self-state, but very pleased to be here and to be with you along this process. And thank you so much, Michael, for inviting me.
Yeah, so this is Anna's design here. So she's a very unique initiator, a manifestor. Yes.
We're not seeing her design, Michael.
What's that?
We don't see her design.
Oh, sorry. Thank you for telling me that. Tammy keeps me in shape. Oh, this is me. No, sorry. I'll get this sooner or later. Here's Anna's design. Yeah. And let me show you Tammy's. That double click to edit, I'll actually put your names in later. I just wanted to make sure like who's coming in or not. Tammy, want to say hello? Welcome.
Hello. So I am a BG5 analyst. I've done all the work that you guys are getting ready to do, and it's a big, especially that final project, but so worth it. Such a fun experience. I am a 4-6 express builder, so much like Michael, I like to build the plane on the way out off the cliff. So, but I do have a lot of those organizational strengths. So I do bring that to the table. I'm also a sleeping phoenix, so here to evolve. Have had lots of burns and rises and out of the ashes in my journey. And I'm really happy to be here and to help support you guys.
Thank you, Tammy. This is George. George is a gentleman. He lives in and around Europe. He's really fascinating in that he's got a digital nomad lifestyle. He spent some of his time in the Middle East. I think he spends time in Spain, and he does a lot of traveling. So George is wonderful. I just love George. He's just awesome. So I think he's doing some work now, and so he'll be here when he gets a chance. And I want to show you my design. This is me, 2-4 MG. Look at all that openness. My secret here is when I first looked at this design, I thought, this is the worst design ever. It's terrible, terrible. I hated it. All this openness, I couldn't believe it. It's like, I feel like I got a raw deal. I wanted more strengths. I wanted like all this kind of like jazzy stuff. And over the years, this kind of wonderful thing happened. I think it's the best design ever, like ever. It's like, I feel lucky to have this design. And so one of the things, my hope and my goal and my wish for you is that you feel the same way about your design. When you look at it, you think, I have the best design ever. So there's so much I like, and there's so much that I've learned from this design. So if you see a client, or if you tend to have this, if you have a similar design where you have lots of openness, number one, you're going to know that they're incredibly sensitive people. And number two is they're going to learn a lot about shadow patterns. One of my big things that I really focus on a lot, it's one of my passions is shadow awareness, because I have so much openness And I often will think and process and constantly in tune with my shadows because I have no choice. Really, I don't have any choice. So every one of us has a design that is really unique for us, and it also contains our own unique learnings for this particular lifetime. So you get to explore it and then share with us everything you learned. So Tammy says, when I first saw my design, I was like, no way am I this powerful. I think I was, gently trying to prod Tammy, like, you have, holy smokes, this design. Yeah. Whew. But every time I look at someone's design, like I fall in love with it too. Like I always tell people, like, you have the best design ever. So I'm a little biased because I'm just so curious about it. Tiffany says, I'm a 3-5. I'm here for the experiments. Tammy, we're going to do a lot. I'm excited to have you. My 3-5. I love it. All right. Let's switch it back. All right, here we go. We're gonna go through some slides and then we're gonna do another experiential activity. So what is BG5? It's the career and business application of the human design system. So that's the lens that we're looking through. It's very different from the personal application in the sense that we're looking at it like, how can this person make money? How can they fill their life purpose? How, it's more like where can they fit so that they're aligned to a specific environment that really works for them. How do we work best with others? How do we make partnerships successful? How do we do effective teamwork? Those are the lenses that we look at through BG5. Two sides: to know yourself individually. I was just having it in my mind when I read that sentence, I was having this image of you working with your clients. One of the things I'm going to ask you to do is do these check-ins on yourself periodically, every week, every 2 weeks, every month. Just check in and just feel and notice the progress that you've made from when you first started studying BG5 human design until this moment, the things that you've learned. And just you can also have a question mark. What else do I need to learn? What else, where am I headed? The reason I'm having you do that is because one of the things that you'll discover is how much you have changed since you've started learning human design BG5. When you start working with a client and you start sharing all of these aspects of their design, something's going to happen. Number one, there's probably going to be 2, 3, or 4 things at most that they're going to get, that they're going to remember. You might have told them 15, 20, 40 things about their design, but they're only going to actually remember 4 or 3 or 2. It's just how the mind works. The big thing is you don't know what those things are going to be. And that's okay, because the things that they get, they're going to put into practice and it's going to really change them. And they're going to come back to you for the next couple pieces, and then the next couple pieces, the next couple pieces. It's one of the reasons that for us, if we work with a client over time, they get to integrate the things that we've told them. I always tell my students that human design, BG5, is a mutative system. Mutative, it changes you from the inside out. If someone is not changing and you're working with them, they're not taking it in. They're not doing the work. And if you're not changing, maybe I'm not the one. I'm not the one like there's something, you know, I'm not helping you in some way. You will change. Some of that change is going to be incredibly uncomfortable. I've told my students in the past, it took me 6 years to get my analyst certification. After year 3, I was so stretched, I had to take a year off. I literally I couldn't look at a book. I couldn't look at a chart. I couldn't do a session. I didn't want to do anything for a whole year because I had to go through this really deep integration process. I came back in year 4 and then it just went right through, and I never stopped after that. But that year, I could feel this integration happening. For you, it may be just a couple weeks or a couple months, or maybe you don't. I had some friends who went through and they didn't take any breaks. For me, I needed to allow that mutation to integrate. So we work with others through partnership. We do group dynamics. We do understanding like the bigger picture, like how you will fit in each of these kind of solo, partnership, team, large organization. And we get to know and experience, okay, that's not for me. These are the four areas here we're talking about. We have our own language. Small groups, small teams are pentas, large groups are WAs. We don't use this terminology with our clients so much because it doesn't make sense, but it's part of the BG5 language. These are the success codes that we came up with. You can see them here. This semester is all about the blue. Semester 2 is all about the red. But here's the thing that I want us to keep remembering is these are not separate bites of information. Although right now, the way we teach it, it looks like that. Our goal in this class is we're going to keep understanding that every one of these 16 codes is in relationship to all the other 15 parts of the code. Everything is connected to everything else. The skill that's going to take you years to master is understanding these relationships. It takes a while to do, and that's okay. Okay, based on what we've been talking about, the slides, and you'll have access to all of the slides. I hate reading slides. It's one of my worst things ever. Sorry about that, but so I want to kind of keep mixing it up. But I'm going to give you this challenge, this assignment, in your own language. Can answer the question, what is BG5? Again, based on the limited stuff that you've learned so far, in your own words, what is it? How can it help me? How can it help you? What are some of the ways that you can help people with this work? You can do it in writing. If you want to do it audio, you can do that. So upload it to class 1 assignment. So that's your only assignment for this week. All right. Any questions so far? Okay, we talked about partnership. Oh God, I love partnership. Just one of my favorite things. And this won't make any sense at all. But here's what I want you to see really quick. This is really cool. You see these kind of names here: administration, public relations, oversight. You can't see it down. Culture, capacity, commitment. You see these boxes? That's the pentazone. This is the only place we look at in someone's design to see where or if they'll fit on a small team. Each of these colors refers to the person. So here's the green. So here's what you'll see. So this green line here, do this differently here. This green line here, which is the skill of planning, corresponds to gate 7, trait 7 over here. This green line here, so this is creative self-expression. In the team, it's both implementation and public relations, and that's the 1-8 here. And then again, the 13 accounting is over here. The blue, so the blue now is the only one who has administration in their design and then oversight here. So these correspond to those 12 traits in the body graph. So we have the 5, the 14, the 29 coming out of the energy resource. We have the 15, the 2, and the 46 coming out of identity down below. Up top, it's the 7, the 1, and the 13. Coming out of the throat, the communication is the 31, the 8, and the 33. So we get to use this and look at it and like, okay, what does this mean? We're actually beginning to diagnose and assess this particular team of 5 people. That's what this chart is all about. Anna, George, and Tammy spent hundreds of hours on this one. Maybe not hundreds, but lots of hours. What does BG5 stand for? Base Group 5. So the team, essentially we call it a penta, it's a building block. It forms the family, it forms a small team. Now, why 5? So it's actually 3 to 5 people. As soon as 3 to 5 people come together, this energetic dynamic gets formed. Once we have a 6, what happens is the dynamics start to split. The group starts to split into 2. Totally esoteric piece of information. We don't talk about this so much with our clients. Ra predicted after 2027, there's going to be another type of being who's going to be born. We don't talk about this in BG5, but you've already might have heard it in human design. And that being is called the rave. A rave is, he didn't call them people. The way he talked about them is like a different kind of being. They'll look like human beings, but they will appear to be severely autistic. Maybe they don't have verbal skills. And so they look like they need a lot of support in life. But when these beings come together, Ra theorized or talked about, they have the ability to communicate non-verbally. It's like they become this kind of energetic field. And so that penta, that particular team can communicate very easily, but just non-verbally.
Do we know what that chart would look like? Like what is, like if you're sacrally defined, you're automatically a builder. So what did he specify what their chart what the indicators would be?
Good question, Linz. He didn't speculate. He didn't say that they would have a different chart, that you could look at it as the same design, but how they interact, how they operate would be very different. Either he didn't see or didn't hear within the download of human design that their design would be any different. I think that's as much as I know about it, but yeah. Great question. When I was younger, one of my jobs was I was a teacher in a public school system in the United States, and I was I was specifically a gym teacher, a phys ed teacher, someone who did like games and activities and sports with the kids. But the way that I get hired was work. We have this terminology in the United States called special needs, or people who are they didn't fit within the kind of, I hate this language, but kind of the regular everyday classroom. And so if they had any kind of areas they were working through, they took gym classes with me. And I worked with preschool, elementary school, middle school, and high school. And so I worked with a lot of children who are on the autistic spectrum. And so one of the things I began to realize is they were communicating to me in different ways. And every child had their own way of communicating. And I needed to learn to figure it out. I'll tell you this really quick story and then we'll start to move on. I had this little boy. So every day with the preschoolers, we would sit in a circle and I would say hello to everyone and we'd do attendance. And this little boy would sit right next to me. And I don't know if you can see, but my arms, they have hair on them. Every day he would sit next to me and he would just kind of, like do this. It was the cutest thing ever, ever. And so it was his way of communicating and saying hello to me. And so I began to understand, okay, his face had no expression. He didn't smile, he didn't laugh, his face was always, but when he did this, I could tell he was really like, yeah, I get to see Mike, I get to hang out and have gym today. And so it's that kind of thing. So I think we all have our own unique ways of expressing ourselves. And with some other people, we have to work a little bit harder to learn their expression. All right, I'm going to move on. Any last questions about what is BG5? Again, you'll have these slides, by the way. This is just an interesting slide. There was a class after you finish your certification called OC16, which is about large group or corporate dynamics. So each group size has its own dynamics that you can learn about and play with. If you want to do this and write about it, that's fine. That's great. When you're in a large group, watch how it always breaks down into smaller groups, partnerships, or small groups of 3 to 5 people. You can notice this at any gathering, a party, or like a networking event. Just watch how people kind of morph and change and shift. All right, in the last 20 minutes, here's what we'll do. The 10-minute overview. Anna, Tammy, I didn't do this in our last class. I thought I'll tell you about it. Let me just check out the chat here. Tammy says, I feel like the completely open conceptualization has this ability now. My son and I speak non-verbally, and we both have this. Yeah. I have that too, by the way, Tammy. Yeah. Interesting. I'm a crazy initiator. Okay, good. All right. My partner is studying a bodywork system, energy work system called cranial sacral therapy. It's like hands-on energy healing work with clients. And I went to a gathering. So she has every couple of months, she has a gathering of her class. And I went and visited her last class. And we were kind of hanging out in there's an apartment upstairs above the classroom. So it was like 5 or 6 people. And they found out that I studied human design. And like, Mike, can you look at my design? And so I made the kind of like wonderful blunder to say, yeah, sure. As soon as you say yes to someone, everyone else is going to say, do mine, do mine, do mine. So there was like 5 or 6 people there. And I said, sure, I'll do it. But I couldn't do a whole hour session, I'd be there all night. So I just gave them this 10-minute overview. I just looked at their design, and this stretched me, believe me. It wasn't as easy as it sounds. I looked at their design for like 2 minutes, and then I said, here's your design. But I only did it for 10 minutes. Each person only had 10 minutes, give or take, But in that 10 minutes, I just had to figure out what's the most important thing for this person to know. So what is it? What's the 10-minute overview? It's looking at someone's design and assessing really quickly what's most important for them to know. Like, not everything, but it carries, in English we'll say the biggest bang for the buck, the most impactful. We can use this everywhere and anywhere. I'm really excited about this, by the way, as you can tell. So how does it work? You look at someone's design, and by the way, we're just going to do this really lightly today, but we'll go deeper into this as the semester goes along. We're going to assess what's the most important things to tell, what's the primary decision-making style, what's the core, what's the really important thing. How to do it may take you a long time in the beginning. You may say to, like, I'm going to learn how to do a 10-minute overview, but it may take you an hour to figure out how to do that 10 minutes. Don't be surprised, and don't be hard on yourself if it takes a long time to figure out how to do a 10-minute overview. It's an amazing skill. It's a really amazing skill. And the real reason I want to do this with you is because it's going to give you the ability to look at a chart and assess it really quickly and kind of pick out the pieces and kind of hold them in your mind. Okay, here's this piece, here's this piece, here's this piece, here's this piece. Great. And you go. And you can't get it wrong. If you leave out a piece, so what? It doesn't matter. But you're just looking at and finding the essence of their design and then sharing with them in a very conversational way. You'll hear my style of doing chart analysis. It's very conversational. You don't have to do it like me. I encourage you to find your own style of presenting charts. I'm going to give you and just demonstrate my way of doing it. And you're going to find your way of doing it too. I'm not looking for copycats. I'm not teaching you Mike's system. I'm just going to give you different ways to look at charts so we can experiment and analyze. All right. For some of you, this is review. So if some of my students have already seen this, it's okay. It's good review. If you have a group of 10 people, statistically speaking, 7 of them are going to be builders or generators. This is really important. And I'd be curious, if you're coming from the human design side, did you learn about this? Because I was surprised that other teachers haven't been teaching the builder decision-making like this. So we're changing that now. There are 4 potential ways that builders can make decisions. And it revolves around these 3 functions. These are the 3 primary decision-making functions in design. Here are the 4 variations. Energy function only, that's the sacral. You make decisions based on your gut response. So you'll notice that we have kind of the theory and then the really simple application. Energy function and emotional intelligence. This is an emotional builder. You make decisions based on how it feels. That's the primary function in this decision making. Your emotional intelligence is your inner authority. You feel into your energy function response over time. You feel it, basically, you feel into your gut. Is this the right time? Do I want to do this? Is this the right time? Everyone knows if you have the solar plexus or the emotional intelligence, you need time for the wave to happen. What you keep doing is checking in with your gut. Now, number 3 is the intuitive builder, intuitive gut response. You make decisions based on your intuitive gut response in the moment. That's the intuition. And then a lot of people have all 3. You're an emotional decision maker, primary decision, who can be influenced by your intuitive gut response. Your intuition and your gut influence your emotions. Here are the variations. I would really like you to really learn these 4 variations because this is a part of your 10-minute overview. That's the reason I'm bringing this in. 7 out of 10 people are going to be a builder, and they're going to have one of these 4 variations. So 70% of the people are going to have this. So if you have this in your kind of your psyche, in your database, in your mind, you get to share this. This is part of your 10-minute overview. You're someone who makes decisions moment to moment. Now, my experience is I only have the cycle. I only have the energy resource function. I've noticed that I can look back on the past, and my gut can help me make sense of things, definitely in the now. And I can also make decisions moving into the future. I went through a long time where I was doing a lot of consulting work, team building work. And people would ask me, Mike, do you want to do this job next week, next month? And I had to feel into whether I actually wanted to do that in the future, even though I only had, limited response. Here's what I discovered about making future-based decisions. Get more information. So here's an example. I learned this the hard way. Mike, do you want to do this job in 2 weeks? Okay, where is the job? Number 1, is it in Boston, just down the street from me, or do I have to fly to California? Who's the group? Is this a group I'm going to be in residence with? Is it a company that I, feel like I could, work with well? Is it 5 people or is it 500 people? Does it pay $500? Does it pay $1,000? Does it pay $1,500? Does it pay $2,000? Those numbers tell a lot. Do you have a direct flight, or do I have to kind of bounce around the country before I get there? The more information that I got, the more clear my response came for something in the future. Does that make sense? Number 2, if you are or have a client who's an emotional gut decision maker, the biggest thing is just have them be patient. Just slow them down and just help them understand your emotions are the primary way you make decisions. And that's okay. That's a good thing because you get to feel into all the nuances of this decision. The bigger the decision, the more time you take. The other important thing I want you to understand about this is primary versus speed are completely opposites. They're completely inverse. Emotions are the primary decision-making style. It's also the slowest. The intuition is the quickest, and out of the 3, it's kind of lower on the spectrum. It's like the tertiary, it's on the 3rd level, because intuition speaks moment to moment and only once. Your intuition doesn't give you a reason why. Speed and on the hierarchy are completely inverse. So just remember that. You don't talk to your client about this, but you know it. So as an emotional builder, you have the first thing that's going to start showing up is your inner gut response. That's when your emotional wave will also begin its decision-making process. Instinctual gut decision makers, they're designed to go fast. They have the capacity to make decisions moment to moment. My partner is an instinctual or an intuitive gut decision maker. Theoretically, she can make decisions very quickly. What's really challenging for her is she doesn't always know why, and that trips her up. So this is going to be the thing for these kind of decision makers. When people second guess their decision, it can be really hard. Or if you as the person second guess. There's some experimentation that has to go along with this. You'll see my little phrase, less thinking, more doing. Why do you want to do that? I don't know. It's just, intuitively, it just feels right. Here's some experiments to give these kind of people. Do little things, like just have them walk down a street and just say, okay, what store, like what kind of business pulls you in? Is it the coffee shop? Let's say that they get pulled into they're walking down the street, have a conversation like, oh, I want to get some coffee. And so then you go in with them and then let them make the decision for which table to sit at. And then from that, what chair to sit in. You just kind of allow their intuition to kind of pull them in one direction or another. And then you say, oh, that's your intuition at work. Help them to see that not always having a reason why is okay. Let me check the chat here to see if I am getting all this. Leah says, about the 10-minute overview, when I know the people and I see their chart, I immediately catch the things I want to share with them. Now it is about learning for the people I don't know yet. That's the challenge, Leah, isn't it? Yeah. Anna says, I always talk 5 minutes about type decision-making and some heads up about the shadows. They always think I'm a witch. You are a witch. Yeah, you can really blow their mind. Every one of those people I told you about in that cranial sacral training, they really felt like, how do you know that? It's kind of fun to be able to do that. Lindsay says, well, I am a witch, and I do that too, so it makes sense. Good one, Lindsay. And this is where the conditioning is so important to consider. Without deep unconditioning process, one will never function how it's supposed to. Hallelujah to that. It's true, Leah. Yeah. Okay, the fourth one and final. These are all three. You will encounter these people probably more than you think. Let me move this over here. You're someone who makes decisions over time based on emotional clarity. That's the catchphrase. That's the most important part of this. And then you share the nuances with them. But you also have this really lightning fast intuition that's kind of paired with your gut response. And then these kind of people, it can be helpful to help them understand that the bigger the decision, the more time you can take, you need to take really. But some decisions you can make really fast. And that's okay. Like you don't have to wait through your emotional wave to know if I want this table or that table or coffee or tea. And I should have put this with all of them. It can be helpful to have others ask you direct yes, no questions. Let me do this here. The yes, no question cuts through the mental chatter like a sword. It's so clear. Yes, no. So if you want, with either your own charts or someone else's, is just practice looking at their chart and just how would you share the way they process information, how they make decisions. So let's do some practice. So this will absolutely be part of your 10-minute overview. The question we're answering is, do you have an understanding of how you process information? Very quickly, instinctual gut, slowly over time, that's emotional, or a combination of all three. Remember, the gut's in there too, and the gut has the capacity to make moment-to-moment decisions. I've often been curious how instinctual gut decision makers, if they can discern between the intuition and the gut, because I don't have it, so I don't know what it's like. And anyone in the class who does, I'd be curious to hear, can you discern the difference between the two?
May I?
Yeah.
I think I have a quite obvious example because I was about to start a certification for a German teacher for German language at a time where I was still breastfeeding. I had a 1-year-old, and it was really just, it didn't make sense to be 1 month or 1 weekend a month away from home, just for, even it was for, and everyone was just, oh my God, how can you do that and everything. But I just knew I have to do it. I just knew. I didn't know why. I just knew that I had to do it. And I did it. And just 2 years after, there was nothing. I didn't, everyone told me, we told you nothing will be from that, blah, blah, blah. And I think 1.5 or 2 years after, I got a job from this, and it was just, I just knew it. And the other thing is, from the gut, I want to do a master degree in certification. And I knew, okay, yes, I want to do it. I want to do this program, but it just didn't, for 3 years or something, it just didn't work out because it was just not the right timing. But I still knew that I want to do it, but it was so much emotion, though a lot of emotions connected to it, pressure, and I have to do it now, and all of this. But that's for me very distinguishing because the first one, I just knew I had to do it, and it didn't make sense at that time at all. But it, in the end, it actually saved a lot for me. It made a big turnaround in my life, actually, that I did it then.
So if you listen to this recording again, listen to the frequency of Leah's voice. You can hear the certainty in it. So that frequency carries through. You can tell she made some really clear decisions. And the frequency of her voice communicated that. Nice, Leah. Thank you for that story. I appreciate it. Lindsay, go ahead.
I don't have splenic definition, but the people that I've talked to describe it to me like this is their gut response is more physical. When their gut responds positively to something, they almost like move into their body starts moving them into the action or pushing them away. Whereas the splenic response is like very quiet. It's like it's not coming from the body. It's almost like a whisper, nagging almost, where it's like there, and until they acknowledge it, then they can't really get it to like go away. Is
That's
how
the
they've
intuition
described it
part?
to me.
Yeah.
I have splenic.
Go ahead, Tammy. Tammy, then Anna.
So I have splenic as an express builder, and it does speak very quietly, and it doesn't always make sense, and I haven't always listened to it, and then I've gotten some really big smackdowns. It's not a nagging, it's a, hey, do this. And I'm like, do I? Because I process so quickly that it's very easy for me to disregard those little messages until now.
Thanks, Tammy. Yeah. And so Tammy's telling you the opposite side where I didn't follow it, and you can hear almost the sadness in her voice. And so she carries that frequency. Not that it's a bad thing in any way. I think it's actually good because Tammy has the frequency in the stories to say, when you don't follow it, these are some of the things that can happen, and it's not so good. But that's still really important information. Anna, who you saw from her design, her decision making is intuitive. It's connected to the willpower, the ego, but her primary style is intuitive. So, Anna, what's your perspective?
Yeah, usually when people talk about intuition, in fact, from the people I relate with or my clients, in fact, they are talking about sacral response. They call it intuition. They say, I know in my gut, it's my intuition said this and that. And I have the same experience as Tammy. My intuition is like, it's a voice, but it's so low that usually it gets lost. And after the opportunity or the situations, I was like, oh, that was my intuition. Oh, that's why. So I'm really training myself to pay to pay major attention to all the small details. That's why I need to be still and living in the present. Otherwise, I won't hear intuition. That's why it's so difficult, because ego talks too loud, the mind talks too loud, and intuition. And my intuition, it's not a voice. Majority of the times, it's like a feeling that makes me go towards or back off from that situation. So usually it's something I feel, but it's not a feeling. It's like an abstraction. We always talk about the voice, but I get a lot of visual intuitions and a lot of body things that I feel that are not feelings.
Yeah, Anna, that's great. I love the diversity of it. So building on what Anna's saying, intuition can work. It's a physical movement, forward away. Tammy was mentioning that. So was Lindsay, even though she was talking about the gut. So watch your body leaning into. Anna's also like, you can get visual images. Sometimes I see like little movies playing out in my mind. Just it's like knowing just drops in from on high, like this is the decision. All right, folks, you have been great. We're at the top of the hour. We're going to finish up next week. 90 minutes, more experiential. We've had an experiential class. We're going to do more of this experiential. So we'll continue with 10-minute overviews and anything else I can dream up that we can do. What is BG5? That's your little, because that's your tagline. When someone says, what are you studying? I say, oh, I'm studying BG5. What is BG5? Oh, here it is. That's what we're doing. And anything else before we sign out? Okay, so what's going to happen? Usually takes me about an hour for the download to go up. I'll put it in the class 1 resources. The recording for class 2, I'll put it in the pre-class for session 2, and I will announce it on the WhatsApp group and the forum. So if you haven't given your information to Tammy for the WhatsApp group, do that when you can. All right, folks, so good to meet you. I'm so excited to work with you. Everyone, bye for now.